Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Shenjin Gillinson, and I'd like to take a few minutes to introduce you to the Ordinary Mind Meditation Podcast. So, I've already put out a few sessions, and some people have been asking what the podcast is about and who I am and where all this came from, and I thought it would be nice to just take a few minutes and talk about it so that we can all get acquainted. I don't have a special story. I'm just a Zen practitioner, Chinese Zen actually. And I've been practicing for around 10 years, slightly more. This podcast is part of my passion for studying and teaching Buddhism. I think it's really important and helpful because when you get down to it, when you finally ask yourself at some point, what do I want? Or, even if it's more existential, like what am I or who am I or something like that. In the end, you get down to the fact that there's only one possible motivation, and that's we want to have happiness or contentment. I mean, I use those terms as a way to describe positive mental states in general. One thing that we can definitely say is that even if we usually just function on autopilot, there is like a subtle vibe of unsatisfactoriness, and that's sort of the first noble truth of Buddhism, the truth of suffering, or the truth of unsatisfactoriness. So once you get that whatever sort of worldly thing you're trying to achieve, be it like getting rich or becoming famous or becoming powerful, all of those things, if they're thought of as ways of becoming happy, they're bound to fail. I mean, we've all heard a billion stories about depressed millionaires, etc., so I don't need to bore us with any of that. The next thing that comes out of this thinking is that not being a jerk is probably the best mode of action. Now, even though I've been practicing for a while, I'm still often a jerk, and that's like a good word because think about it, like a knee-jerk reaction, for example. It means impulsive and unpleasant. It's usually not something that we would like to happen. It means something that we're sort of forced into by our body and mind. Acting like that is again sort of an autopilot reaction mode that comes from us just being habituated to this kind of state of mind. But for sure, we can all recognize that once we have a positive outlook and a positive attitude, and we are more inspired to act and motivated to act and sort of act out of wanting to improve the whole situation around us, we become happier people, the people around us become happier people. Generally, it's better for all of our environment. And for this, we have to sort of get in touch with our mind, because often we're just going through the motions, not taking any moment to reflect about how do I feel, how did I get to feel this way, what's going on, and how do I get to where I want to be, and what is that thing? And at the bottom of it, we're going to find out that we have to train the mind, because our mind is basically a little puppy running around and peeing on the carpet and pooping in potted plants, and we have nothing to do to stop it. And usually it just acts completely out of habit without any sort of restraints. And it's really useful. Just like for the body, we all know we have to go to the gym, we have to work out, we have to do yoga or whatnot, and eat well. Everybody's focused everybody understands that we have to take care of the body, but why is it not the case that everybody accepts that mind training is just as essential? We know by now, also not only from a Buddhist background, but also from modern science, that the mind can be trained. There is such a thing as neuroplasticity, and the mind can be changed. The habits of the mind can be changed. We can tend to the garden of our minds and plant seeds of positive action and positive habits, rather than the usual negativity and guilt and whatever other negative feelings and emotions and habits we carry around. So this podcast is an attempt to give us a tool for learning and understanding our mind, and then also for training it. So each episode is made of about 5 to 10 minutes of Buddhist philosophy and psychology, after which I do a guided meditation, usually combining more than one technique, which is supposed to give us a method for training the mind in accordance with that lesson that we learned just before. So I hope you'll find all of this useful. I'm really enjoying making it, and since I'm just learning how to do all this, so the soundscaping, the recording, the content, whenever I get feedback, I'm really super happy to listen and to learn, and I'd like it to be as useful as possible. So please give as much feedback as you want and can. That's it. I think that clears everything up. So thanks a lot for listening, and enjoy the podcast. Amitofo.